Microsoft's E3 press conference for 2018. That was good? I felt like that was pretty good. I certainly didn't hate it by any means, and it was definitely above average, at least for what I remember from last year and previous years. So, am I wrong? Am I going crazy? That seemed good. That seemed pretty good. So, they started off with a Halo tease, which smart way to start. They didn't really have a whole lot to show off about it. They teased a game called Halo Infinite and how it's running on the all-new Slipstream engine. Showed a little bit of not actual gameplay, but like gameplay renders, more or less, and it's hard to glean anything about the game from that. My guess is it's going to be Halo Battle Royale, which could be fun. I don't know if they have like the different vehicles and stuff in there. That could be neat. I don't know, but that was a really good way to start, just for Microsoft to show up and be like, yeah, baby, there's new Halo coming. That way all the people who really like Microsoft just for Halo know they got something coming for them. And it was very, very brief, so they can quickly move on to the other stuff, and they didn't have to like really rely on that to like hype up the conference by any means. Which, by the way, watching that and seeing like the dozen rows or so of just people in all like the white shirts up front who are clearly like the people that, who was it, won the game day thing or invited, like just fans invited by Microsoft. I love, it happens every year. They always get those guys and they shove them right up to the front because they know whatever they say, those are the people who are going to like lose their shit the most. They're going to cheer the hardest and be hype about every freaking thing that is said. So they put them in the front because it makes them look better. I know your tactics, Microsoft. I've been there many times. But anyway, so right after that, they went into Ori 2, which they did announce last year, and actually showed some gameplay of it. He's got a cute little owl friend this time around that helped him like hover and travel to new areas. Gameplay still looks super, super slick. Still looks super cool. I'm sure it'll be filled with a whole lot of emotions, just like the first one, but it was nice to see some gameplay of that. That was a lot of running theme for this conference in general, was a lot of stuff that they just teased last year. This is the first time that really got to see a lot of it in action. They start with Ori 2. Another one they teased last year was a new From Software game, which had the code name for it. A lot of people were kind of speculating what this was going to be. Personally, I was kind of hoping for a new Tenchu game, because I actually really like the Tenchu series, and From Software has always made those. It was not Tenchu. It was something completely new. It's called Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, and it showed a Japanese feudal era kind of style. You play as a samurai-looking dude with a katana and like one arm, where it's just clearly like his bone is just exposed, and looked freaking cool. And that bone arm allowed him to do like a lot of super neat extra powers. He had like a grappling hook. He made an axe appear out of it. He made like a fan suddenly appear to use as a shield. The combat within there that they showed, very fast paced. A lot of interactivity between environment and monster. Very clearly inspired by like Bloodborne or the Souls games. Not quite that nitty gritty or don't want to use the word realistic, but I don't know what else to use there. So this one's a little more over the top compared to that, but you could very see like the intense one-on-one battles, a lot of the dodging around, the slow, I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Like all the attacks and movements were just very, very, very precise for a reason. It looked really, really slick though. Looked really, really cool. Didn't really see anything else about it for in terms of release date or anything, but that was like the first thing I saw. I was like, ooh, this actually looks awesome. And they did also hint at the death and rebirth mechanic, thus the name Shadows Die Twice. Like, it showed the main character dying, but then like his spirit got back up and you did it again. That was a little more unclear, but we'll hear more about that at some point, I'm sure. But that looks super cool. Then Todd Howard came out and talked about Fallout 76, which we already knew about. And basically said, one, Fallout 4 is now available on Game Pass today, so if for some reason people don't have it yet, those with the Game Pass can now get Fallout 4 on there. And then they showed off basically an extended trailer of Fallout 76, because they had already revealed that last week, and this same trailer contained all of that, and then just had a little bit more beyond that. No actual gameplay, still not a whole lot there that really says what Fallout 76 is. They said that Fallout 76 is 4 times as large as Fallout 4. Okay, we'll see what that means and what that is worth, because I never necessarily associate large with good. I'd rather have like a precise, filled world that doesn't seem to bear anywhere. But I did kind of like how the art style in it seemed intentionally retro. Like I kept looking at the power armor, and the power armor was very reminiscent of Fallout 1 style power armor. And this is a prequel game, so it kind of makes sense. I kind of dig that. So it's not like it doesn't look as realistic as Fallout 3 or New Vegas. It's a little more on the cartoony side, even more so than like Fallout 4. They came out the same kind of colors and everything, so it's still bright like Fallout 4. Probably used the same engine, judging by how fast this game is coming out. So we'll probably have to wait for the Bethesda conference to learn more about that, which is happening later today at like 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which, by the way, I'll be streaming that one too, so feel free to come on by at twitch.tv/ProJared and join me on the E3 press conference streams. I'm doing all of them. Yay! Anyway, so it was just an extended trailer. Not a whole lot to get hype about from there, but I guess Bethesda really just wanted to keep all the real good stuff for themselves. That makes sense. Then they showed a game that was in the universe of Life is Strange called Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is basically about a kid using his imagination to like fight monsters and stuff, like toys and stuff in his backyard. But every now and then, it would like flash into like a different universe, like he was actually in this imagination world that he was doing. And it's a Life is Strange universe, so I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being like he's actually there or something, and then his dad dies or some other sad shit. But no, it actually looked kind of charming. I didn't hate it. Comes out later this month, which is super cool. Then went in more to Crackdown 3 and just had Terry Crews talking about it the whole time, which I am convinced that Terry Crews can sell anything just because he's so good at having such a hype voice and having enthusiasm about whatever it is he was talking about. They showed off some more gameplay stuff. Just like pre-rendered gameplay, like showing the different angles and stuff, not like actual with a controller by any means. Still looked like Crackdown, sure did. Finally gave it a release date for February 2019, which is surprising because I feel like this game kind of disappeared off the radars for a while, but it's still coming. I actually liked the first Crackdown game. The second one was okay, and third one, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Again, I'm always a sucker for co-op stuff. They also saw that Nier Automata is coming to Xbox One as a definitive edition. So a lot of the DLC and stuff that was all over the place is all going to be in one. If you haven't played that one, highly recommend that one for your Xbox One owners. They showed some Metro Exodus gameplay, which was actually awesome to see because the Metro games, I'm not big on shooters, but the Metro games are very, very good. And it was really cool to see just a little bit of it coming from the Microsoft conference for this one. The gun modding part intrigued me the most, where he put down the backpack that showed the gun and showed the different mods and stuff appearing on the gun, and then he zipped his backpack back up and put it back on. Kind of gave it a hint of a real-time element. Hard to say, I haven't played it, but very, very cool. The Metro gameplay was awesome. And then a big announcement was that Kingdom Hearts is coming to Xbox One X. Kingdom Hearts 3, they showed off a couple of new worlds with that too. They showed off Frozen, they showed off Tangled. They showed off the Gummy Ship a little bit. It was a little bit of an awkward trailer to watch though, because there were just sound effects straight up missing. And I don't know if they caught that in time or realized it, because there'd be like things happening or like Soros hitting stuff with his keyblade, and all you hear is the faint background music and just the grunts, and then being like, ha! Oh, my heart in the darkness, but there's no other sound effects happening. It was a little awkward, but whatever, it's fine. Still showed the game just okay. And Aqua's back. She's evil now. You get to kill Aqua, baby. I don't know, hearts and darkness and feelings and rocks, whatever. Talked more about Sea of Thieves, and they basically have 2 expansion packs coming out for Sea of Thieves, one in July and one in September. They didn't really properly show what those expansions are about or what they do, so that didn't do much for me, especially since Sea of Thieves, man, that could have been cool, it just really wasn't. Then went into a trailer for Battlefield 5, and it was actually showing the single player a little bit. No gameplay whatsoever, it was all cutscene based, a lot of dialogue. I like the setting a lot. Like it was, but what I got from it is going to be talking about Scandinavia during World War II, which is cool because they never do that. It's always been like Germany and America and Britain forces and all that. But no, this seemed to be Scandinavian based, which seemed neat. But yeah, just saying like Battlefield 5 has a single player mode, don't you worry. Okay, it was brief. They didn't need to really show the single player campaign because, you know, it's Battlefield 5, I think we all know. They then went to Forza Horizon 4. This looked good. This is one of the things that's hard for me to talk about because I am not a Forza player and I really don't know much about it. They then went to a live demo after it too, where they had, what was it, like 16 players on stage, I forget how many, pretending to play, even though like all the gameplay was clearly like pre-recorded. It seemed like actual gameplay, like the actual gameplay was legit, but it was definitely pre-recorded. They went through the different seasons that you can play through. I actually like how it opens up different areas on the map depending on the season. Like they showed in the winter, the lake is completely frozen, so you can just drive around on the lake. I actually kind of like that. That was neat. And there was a hoverboat at one point you could play as, so, you know, the hoverboats are hype. That's coming out in October. It's going to be available on Game Pass right away, along with actual physical release. And then Xbox One X owners can have a special 60 frame per second mode, which is great. Again, for racing fans, I would prefer like fast frame rate than super good graphics, even though it did look really good. So from the outside looking in, entirely on that, Forza seemed good. The next part was weird for them to talk about, as Phil Spencer came out and started talking about how they are improving their studio lineup by basically saying, here's a list of developers that we just purchased. That felt weird. Like, I know you should, like, I want, you know, the Xbox fans on the front rows are super excited because like, oh yeah, we got these. But I am just sitting here thinking, oh man, these guys just all lost their independence. That sucks. And they weren't nobodies. Undead Labs was one of them. They just released State of Decay 2, but now they're straight up owned by Microsoft. Playground Games was bought. Ninja Theory was bought. I think that was the biggest surprise because they had, you know, they'd made games that people are aware of. The last one they did was Hellblade, but they also did like DMC. But yeah, just to see them just bought by Microsoft felt weird. Yeah, that just seemed more like real. They're swinging around how big their money dicks are than how much better they're trying to make their games line up or something. I don't know. Didn't care for that. I felt like it's kind of a weird part of the conference to have. They showed off We Happy Few again, even beforehand by saying, this game's nearing completion. It's coming, guys, we swear. It's like, okay, you know, nothing really new here. Then they showed off PUBG again because it's still on Xbox One X. The big thing with that, though, is that they showed that the console version is getting all the new maps and the war game mode, and then they hinted at a new 4th snow map at the end. So that's pretty much it. It was just kind of hinting at the different maps. Then they went into a surprisingly re-release of Tales of Vesperia for Xbox One, the definitive version, which includes a lot of the DLC that I believe were Japan only. Tales of Vesperia was one of the better Tales games. I actually really like that one on the Xbox 360. I actually really like that one, so I don't know if I would play it again for a definitive release, but if for some reason people haven't played that one before, Tales of Vesperia would be worth playing on your Xbox Ones. They then went into Division 2. Division 2 was actually announced. Started showing off the gameplay for it. It was 4-player co-op gameplay with that same kind of fake-ass forced team speak in there where it's like, oh yeah, that was good. Oh dude, did you see this loot? It's pretty good. This is how gamers talk. I was hyped for the first Division when I first saw it. And I played through the first one quite a bit and I tried to enjoy it and I just couldn't. And everything they showed for the Division 2 doesn't really change my mind on that. I didn't really see anything in there that was so new or so groundbreaking that really set it apart from the Division 1. They showed off some new gadgets and toys that you can use for weaponry. There's a new mechanic where a player got like his feet stuck in mud, so you had to like shoot his feet to free them. So maybe there's gonna be more player interactivities or reliance on each other instead of just shooting at bullet sponges until you get fat loot and feel good about yourselves. But yeah, trailer-wise, I don't think that was the best showcase, because if there is a lot of super cool new stuff about Division 2, they needed to show that, because all I saw was a reskinned Division 1. They went to the Game Pass some more, talked about how they have a fast start option now, which basically sounded like for select games, they will now load twice as fast. They were pretty vague on that, that's all I got. I wish that was a little more clear. They went huge scissor reel for a bunch of indie games, a lot of really cool looking ones in there. I didn't really write any specifics down just because they were happening so fast, but a lot of the ones that were in there, actually looked really good. Showed off Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which comes out in September. It's fine. Looked good. I haven't been keeping up on the rebooted Tomb Raider franchise. I played the original reboot on PS3, but haven't kept up on it at all, but I remember enjoyed it. Wait, was that PS3 or was that PS4? It was probably PS4, wasn't it? I don't remember. Anyway, I liked it. They then went into a new skateboarding game, which everyone was freaking out about. Just shows a dude skateboarding, he's crashing, he's grinding on rail stuff. Everyone's like, oh my god, here it comes, Skate 4! And it's called Session. It's a new skate game called Session, and most people are just upset that it's not Skate 4. And that's not fair. You can't be mad at something for what it isn't. Just look at it for what it is. And all I got from it was just another skateboarding game. I have no idea what's unique about it. But maybe it'll kind of scratch that itch for people who are looking for something like Skate 4 or another Tony Hawk that doesn't suck. They showed off that Black Desert, still coming to Xbox One. They did this last year too. This showed a bit more gameplay of it, but it's an MMO that's been out for several years, so it's hard to get hype about that. Then they went into a lot of major announcements. Like, these are a lot of back-to-back, like, you haven't heard about this or you haven't seen about this before. Starting off with Devil May Cry 5. Not DMC, but Devil May Cry 5, like an actual sequel to 4 from 2008, I think is the last one that came out. Showed off a lot of Nero. Like, Nero was the main character they're showing off. He has a zappy arm now, which allowed him to do crazy zappy powers. They showed Dante as well. Like, Dante is also part of the game, but it seemed like Nero is going to be the main focus. Hard to say, but it was certainly Devil May Cry, developed internally by Capcom. Cool. More Devil May Cry. Great. Showed off some Cuphead DLC. So Cuphead is going to be getting an all-new DLC island map that you can now explore and do a lot more levels, and a new playable character, Miss Chalice, so like a third female playable character. Didn't really show like the new bosses or mechanics or anything, but they did say that there's going to be new relics and things that you can get, so neat. Cuphead was really good. I would look forward to playing more of that. Another big announcement was another new thing was where they showed off it showed Frieza in the middle of the city, and he's like destroying all this stuff. Like, oh my god, it's Frieza from Dragon Ball. And then he looks up in the side, and standing right there, ready to face off against him, was Naruto. And then there's Luffy from One Piece, and then Goku shows up. So basically, a console-based Jump Superstar games. This one's called Jump Force. I know about the Jump Superstar games from the DS way back in the day, where basically it's a bunch of anime characters all in one, all that are owned by Shonen Jump magazine. And it was like a Smash Bros. Kind of clone, but it looked more like a pseudo-traditional 1v1 fighter for this, based on the few glimpses of gameplay. Not like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but closer to like Burst Limit or the Tenkaichi games. Like that kind of perspective. Again, hard to say. It was very, very brief, but anime crossovers, they're all over the place. Believe it. Then they went into Dying Light 2. Dying Light was one that I didn't play a whole lot of. I heard a lot of really good things about it, and they showed Dying Light 2. Big thing they're doing with this one is, one, they did do a gameplay demonstration, which is good, but they're really emphasizing player choice in this one, where you meet up with different factions, and depending on the choices you make, can widely change the world and the map that you play in. They talked about one about either helping or hurting a faction have to deal with like the water supplies and how that can allow you to get access to new areas, but otherwise can make other factions hunt you down more. They really hyped up that every decision you make makes your world unique. That's one of the things I have to see to believe, because a lot of games talk about player choice and having that impact of the world, but how much that actually matters seems to have varying degrees. So that's one of those things I have to see to believe in how much it actually matters or how much it actually affects everything, or if it's just like a neat little way to have slightly different areas open to you, you know? Like if it's just, you get to go to this area or this area and that's it. We'll have to see. But anyway, those games, from what I can tell, people liked the first one. The second one still looks fun, the same kind of parkour and the melee combat, very visceral. The monsters come out at night. All right. Then they went to a teaser for, of all things, a brand new Battletoads. Dead serious. Coming out in 2019, didn't show gameplay at all. They even made fun of themselves by having nondescript features. Did say it's gonna have 3-player local co-op. Kind of urged by the word local, hoping it's online as well. And my guess, I would, because they showed like the hover bike crashing into the wall, classic. My guess is that it's gonna be just like a 2D hand-drawn remake rather than an all-new one. I have no idea, that's just my speculation, but there's another Battletoads game coming. Cool. Showed off Just Cause 4. This was leaked by Walmart last week, so this wasn't as big of a surprise, and not much to say about it. Looks just like Just Cause, which is still fun. Comes out in December. And then as we went towards, this is when they got towards the end of the conference, and this is when they started bringing out all of their big hitters. Which surprisingly wasn't the Halo stuff at the beginning. They just went into just a waterfall of Gears of War. Starting off with the announcement of Gears of War Pop, which is like a Gears of War game, but the art style is based off those like Funko Pop figurines that everyone loves collecting. They're goddamn everywhere. I have no idea what the game is, but the fact that it's Funko based and Gears of War is hilarious to me. I do know it's a mobile game. They show that at the bottom, it's going to be a mobile game, and that's fine. Don't hate on games automatically just because they're mobile. There are good mobile games. I don't know anything else about it, but I just love that it's a cutesy art style for something as mature as Gears of War. They also announced, of all things, Gears of War Tactics. This was, I don't know how to respond to that because I'm not huge into Gears of War. I played the first 3 and I love tactics games. So I don't know, maybe I will. They showed some gameplay of it, very reminiscent of XCOM of all things. But I like the idea they have like basically boss battles within like the strategy universe. They showed them like on a wall and using turrets and stuff to kind of defend. It kind of looked like you pick all your actions and then they all play out at once and then you pick your next actions. Because it definitely showed like multiple things happening at once and not just like one player running over, taking a shot, and then switching over to your next unit. Like multiple things were happening at once, so I'm intrigued to see about that. I love tactics games, so I want to see more. And then they went straight into Gears of War 5. Again, I haven't really kept up on the Gears series. I'm not really big into the lore or anything, but what I actually liked about this is that the first several minutes of what they showed for Gears 5 was a cutscene, more or less, and it was showing off a lot of plot and character interaction, and my cat is being super loud outside. I'm sorry if you can hear him. Aries, come on. There he is. Just a lot of character interaction and plot and talking, and it was like I actually was intrigued by that. I didn't really feel the need to see a whole lot of Gears of War gameplay because generally we know what it is. Shooting, third-person cover, that over-the-shoulder cam, lots of running. But the fact they really focused on like the kind of plot stuff was smart because that was intriguing to people who don't play Gears of War like myself. That was pulling me in more than the gameplay. They did go into the gameplay immediately after that, and from what I could tell, that was new. They had like a melee weapon, happening. Like the main character, she picked up like a Warhammer looking thing, was just swinging around and just like crushing dudes. They showed off some new like gross enemies. Like they had this gross 3-legged walker dude, and then he like turned himself into a turret and started shooting at you. That was cool. I actually really liked that trailer. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'll actually play the game, but they did a really good job of making it intriguing to someone like me who isn't into that. So I gotta give them props for that. And then they started wrapping up the conference at this point, talking about how they are working on bringing console quality cloud streaming to any device. Kind of curious what they mean by any. All right, that's just teasing for the future. Okay, speaking of teasing for the future, they pretty much said we are working on the next Xbox console. So I'm glad that's not happening yet, because this console of the generation has still been going really, really strong and doesn't feel like it needs much of an upgrade. But I believe them saying that, you know, there's a new one coming will kind of help Class 8 people and just let them know, like, don't worry, we're not sticking to our laurels. We got new good stuff coming too. And in the middle of that is when like the conference got hacked, and it cuts into an all-new trailer for Cyberpunk 2077, which was awesome. Really fun way to announce it, and a really strong way to end, because it's just people have been looking for Cyberpunk for quite some time. They did not show gameplay at all, which made sense to me, as I personally feel not a whole lot of people know what the Cyberpunk universe is. A lot of people know that the Witcher devs are making an all-new game and it's like futuristic or something, but people may not be familiar with like the Cyberpunk setting or like the tabletop role-playing origins of it or anything like that. So the entire trailer was showing off atmosphere, the setting, the kind of world that Cyberpunk is going to be taking place in, rather than showing off specific characters or specific gameplay or features. But it was still very, very, entrancing, because this is just like a world that stood out so much more compared to anything else that we've seen in a long time. Like it was very, very unique, and that alone just helped it stand out. So it was a very strong way to end the conference. So overall for Microsoft, like I said, I thought it was pretty good. They had a wide variety of stuff in there. It wasn't all shooter things or this typical Microsoft fare of Halo, Xbox, Forza, or Halo, Gears, Forza. They had Halo, they had Forza, they had Gears, but then they're showing off stuff like the new Farm Software game, showing off Kingdom Hearts, showing off the Jump Force other anime shit, Tales of Vesperia, new release announcements like the Devil May Cry stuff, Dying Light 2, Battletoads. Like overall, this is like some of the best variety they've had in quite some time, and it was stuff that could appeal to your non-stereotypical Xbox One gamer, if one such exists. And it certainly worked. Like it certainly intrigued me more than a lot of their past conferences. So overall, I thought Microsoft did a good job. If I had to give it a grade, I would say at least a B-, maybe even a B if I'm feeling generous, which I'm not sure if I am or not. No, B-. I always regret it if I'm too generous at the start, so I'm gonna stick to my guns here and just go B-. It's still very, very good. Do wish more gameplay was shown, or actual live demonstrations happened. It was a lot of like pre-recorded stuff. That would have easily bumped up for me if they had like actual live demonstrations, even if it was for like the stuff they already showed, like the Forza, or what else did they play on stage? Nothing? Okay, that could help too. But overall, their announcements and what they showed was very good. So Microsoft, overall, good job. I'm proud of you. It's really refreshing to see. All right, so don't forget, Bethesda later today. Don't forget to leave a comment down below what you thought. Subscribe if you aren't already. And come join me on the other press conferences, as I'll be streaming on twitch.tv/ProJared. Bye, guys.